Why do good companies fail with their data? This is the question I asked myself 2 years ago when I started this journey. That's the pattern I've seen over and over again in my career, in every company, in bigger companies, in smaller companies, in startups, in corporates. It's always the same thing. Very good company, lots of data, good data teams, decent platform, and they still fail. Why does it happen? So that's the question I ask myself. I've been reflecting a lot. My previous CEO, when I joined the company, said, "Shahar, we have so much data and we know nothing," that's exactly the frustration that a lot of companies, a lot of stakeholders, a lot of business leaders feel all the time. They feel like data is just an ever-growing cost, and they feel like they're spending a lot, they're not getting the value. A COO told me that they're told by their teams about speed bumps way after they pass them, and they want to know before, and the data is there. I mean, if somebody had just looked at the data, they would be able to say, we're going to miss our revenue targets, or these clients are not going to renew their contracts, or whatever. There's always signals, but nobody bothered looking at them. And on the other side of the spectrum, you get a lot of data VPs, and they say, look, we build dozens of dashboards, nobody uses them, nobody is looking at the data, and they are also frustrated. So everyone is frustrated. And if you actually look at what's going on and what's happening, when I started my career 20 years ago, data was hard. I mean, you needed to maintain servers, everything was on-prem, you needed to install software updates, backups, recoveries, storage, managing network. You had to do all these crazy things just to set up a database. And today, 3 clicks on your cloud, whoever your cloud vendor is, 3 clicks, you set up an entire data platform out of the box. It's amazing. So it's so much easier today, and still everybody is failing for the same reasons. So what's going on? And that is exactly what I tried to understand. And my assessment is that a lot of companies think that data is a technical problem. And they think that their mindset is we're just going to hire a CDO or VP data, and they will build the platform, and then all the magic will happen. And the truth is, there's no magic. There is no magic solutions in data. That never happens. And also, I think that they're just missing some of the key ingredients for success. And success in data is beyond technology. So if we look at the ingredients, of course, technology is a big part of it. And it's probably one of the key parts. And I'm not going to talk about it that much in this talk, because I think that this is exactly what most data leaders are focusing on, and this is what they're programmed to think about, and what are we going to build, and what will our platform look like, and stream and batch, Snowflake and Databricks and all of that. But then what they forget about is people, process, and culture. And over again, when I went on to different organizations trying to analyze why do they fail, why is it not working for them, it wasn't because of the technology. It was because of these other ingredients, or what I call the missing ingredients of data. So if I'm going to just break it down, I'm not going to talk too much about technology right now, but if I talk about the 3 other missing ingredients, so when I talk about people in my playbook, what I mean by that is hiring the right people. That's something we all know, right? You need the right teams, you need the right people, but you also need to find your sponsors in the organization, especially in the senior leadership team, but not just in the leadership team. Who are the people who actually genuinely care about data? If you work with 5 different product managers, some of them may not even care about data. Some of them will just want to just do whatever they want. Some of them will just want to build, and they don't really care about the truth. But then you always have this one product manager who's really good, is asking the right questions, has a very good framing in mind. They care about metrics. They really try to move these metrics. So, finding your sponsors is going to be important, and the people who care about that, and the people who can back you up. And the more senior they are, the better. Also finding your champions. Who are the people in the organization who are really good with data and who can help you champion that in their team? So it can be like a salesperson who's really good with the reporting, and they can run their own sales data reviews and whatever, but finding champions and people in the teams who can help you spread the word. And also data literacy and education, and just actively investing time in teaching and educating people on how to work with data. And this is our job. Sometimes as data leaders, we get frustrated and we think our teams don't care about data. But we also forget that sometimes, yes, it's our job. It's our job to teach them because nobody is born a data genius. So we need to spend some time actively explaining, teaching, educating, and helping them understand. So that's the people ingredient. And then we've got the process ingredient. So process is, for me, in my playbook, is two things. Number one is about alignment on taxonomy, alignment on definitions. And you see that in every company. You know, what is the definition of a customer? What's the definition of active? What does it mean to be active? What is revenue? Which we use these words when we speak, but then if we're not aligned on what they mean, then it's not going to work out. I was doing this project with a client and I started working with them, and I started the discovery phase when I just come in and I interview different business stakeholders and different people on the data team. And one thing that was very, very clear right from the beginning is that they use the words customer. They all use the same word to describe completely different things. And in my notes, I could see at least like 4 different definitions of what a customer means to different people, but they all use the same word to describe that. I also noticed that they all mention the word product, but first of all, there was no representation of what a product is in their data warehouse. And basically, product could be one of 4 different things, and they couldn't be more different than each other, right? It could be a physical piece of hardware that they sell. It could be like one SKU, it could be a bundle of SKUs that they sell, or it could be something else. And basically, their language didn't match their metrics and the underlying data. So of course they're going to fail. I mean, there's no other way. So creating alignment is really, really important, and also creating processes that force people to use the right data in the right way at the right time. Things like business reviews and scheduling reports and metrics that will go out and force people to look at the data and create these forcing functions, because some people may not necessarily do it proactively, but if you put the data in their face, if you push it in their face, it will be very difficult to ignore, especially if you've got sponsors and you've got champions and there's people around who care about these things. It will be very difficult to ignore. So that's on the process side. And on the culture side, there's 2 things that I see that are missing over and over again. The first one is trust. We all know that. We all felt that. We have all been there. I talk to stakeholders and they are very frustrated, and they tell me, Shahar, we have 5 dashboards. Each one of them is showing us a different revenue number. None of them is matching, and some of them go in different directions. We don't know what's happening anymore. Our data is not trustworthy. It's not reliable. We cannot make any decisions like that. Because of that, they're very reluctant to also use anything that is self-serve or anything that requires them to have a look at the data, because they just don't trust the data and they don't trust themselves to understand that. And it puts more pressure on the data team, and it creates this very vicious cycle that we all know. So that's building trust with data is super important, and also creating the right incentives. In some companies, I see data leaders being frustrated that nobody uses data, and then I look at how their bonuses structure work, how they evaluate performance, how they do reviews, how they build the roadmaps, and how they make decisions. And I'm like, dude, of course nobody's going to look at data. They have no reason to do it. They're really not incentivized to do it. And humans are lazy. Fundamentally, humans do what they're incentivized to do. And if you don't create the right incentive structure around data, which is, by the way, something that companies like Meta really absolutely nailed and did a phenomenal job with this, to create a good incentive structure. So people really care about metrics. They really care about experimentation. They really care about asking questions and seeking the truth. It's a lot of work, and you need to do that. And again, to do that, you need very senior sponsors in the company's leadership. So again, the 3 missing ingredients: people, process, and culture. And for me, these are the reasons why companies fail with their data. And what happens when these things are missing? So when these things are missing, first of all, stakeholders struggle to understand the value. They don't understand the value of data. They don't understand the value of the data team and why does this team exist. It leads to a lot of complaining, to lack of appreciation, to questioning why is this team or organization even needed. It leads to lack of cooperation. and a lot of pressure on the team to deliver, and it can be deliver random ad hoc things the team doesn't understand. It can be priorities that keep changing on them and they just struggle to keep up, and eventually the team falls behind, struggling to meet expectation, ever decreasing budget and headcount. CDO leaves after a year and a half, and the cycle continues. So this is what happens. And in a lot of these teams, actually, when you look at the data team's roadmap, it's solid. They build a lot of really good things. They have smart people on board, but there's this disconnect, and this disconnect is again because of these three missing ingredients. But there are other ways. Data teams can drive and lead. They can be appreciated and valued, and I'm not just making things up. I've been in those situations many times. They can own their priorities. They can push back and say no to things. It's real, like it can happen, and stakeholders can even ask for more data support. My stakeholders, for example, engineering leaders, came over to me and they say, we want to convert engineering headcount to data engineering headcount or to analytics headcount. So you can grow your team because we need more support.